Radio has a history of informing and entertaining communities, and there are a lot of low-power radio stations around here that serve neighborhoods and towns, and they're doing some really great work. So right now, we highlight that work in our occasional segment that we like to call Low Power to the People.
You got big time, Bobby Belair. You're listening to the golden age of the 1960s here on WRWO, LP Ottawa. Now, can you dig
We're
that,
here for the
baby?
community, and we are from the community. 94.5 FM, LP Ottawa, and that's WRWO. I'm Tony B.
Hello, this is Tom Weir. I am on the Oldies Show on WRWO Radio, weekends, and...
Hey, this is Dr. Craig, and I do the Change Your Mind show, where I strive to challenge...
And this week, we head over to Ottawa, Illinois, and we connect with the studios of WRWO 94.5 FM in Ottawa, Illinois. On the line with us from the studios of WRWO this morning is Tony Bianchi. He is the program director at WRWO. Tony, welcome to Outside the Loop. Nice to talk to you.
Mike, good morning, and thank you for having us on the air today. It's an extreme privilege to have us on the air on WGN.
Well, happy to have you. And so this radio station, this is a community station. It's a low-power station, but it's a community station that serves Ottawa, Illinois.
Yes, sir. Actually, Here and Again Incorporated, they are a 501c3 nonprofit group. They created the station. They got an FCC license that was a non-commercial entity, and probably for the last 3 years was building up to get to it. And we actually went online streaming the radio shows on February of 2017, and then the FM broadcast actually came on August of 2017 of last year.
So you're not even a year yet.
No, we're still babies. We're still just crawling along.
Well, I think it's great anytime we can get another community radio station out there to serve the people. And I want to ask you, so Ottawa, if you don't know where Ottawa, Illinois is, you're right by Starved Rock, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when we give out the information, like the weekend planner we do here on the shows, it's always including Ottawa and the Starved Rock area. And there's so much going on down here. We have actually a lot of people from the Chicagoland area always touring down here for the canyons, and we always have some type of wine festival going on. So there's always a lot to do down here in the Starved Rock area.
So with that in mind and understanding that community radio, as you know, really is a reflection of the community, of neighborhoods, and of the people, what are some things that you're talking about over there in Ottawa? What are some things that people want to know, they're talking about, and how does that reflect in what you do on the air?
Well, I think the main thing is when this was created, WRWO wanted to give an opportunity in the arts, and they wanted to enrich the lives of the people in the community and create prospects for employment, via the radio or some type of broadcasting that just weren't available. So a lot of our attention is with the arts, and more so with music performers, and even so much as like I said, the weekend planners and just the things going on in the area that we promote very heavily.
I always think it's great when we talk about the arts, because there's this misconception that arts only exist in big metropolitan areas, and that's just not true. And when I talk to stations like WRWO, one thing that I always hear is we are all about the arts, and we want there to be a very healthy arts community that is getting a lot of people involved and about inclusion. And I think that is something that's great, and that's something that sometimes maybe us in the big city we forget about.
I wasn't really involved with the arts here in Ottawa until I really got involved with WRWO. And hearing a lot of these music performers, for one, they're phenomenal. And we actually get a few of them that are from the Chicagoland area and come down to perform. Also, the actual artists, the ones that do the paintings and the sculptures. There's a building right next door to us that hosts on the weekends your new artist type venues. And there's some really beautiful work down there. I'm surprised. Now, I'm a transplant from 1994. And like I said, to see the stuff that goes on here, this town is very rich with art, I have to admit.
And so your station, you have all kinds of programming. You have music. You also have talk. You're talking about current issues. You're also talking about art, of course. But you sort of run the gamut.
Yeah, myself, I'm actually in the mornings, and my show's more heavily into the decades of rock, like the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, and today, because we do lack the rock-type stations out in the LaSalle County, Starved Rock area. And then there's a gentleman who's a life coach, William Houlihan, who has a 2-hour show that does a great job just kind of inspiring people. And then even on the weekends, we have Dr. Craig Lash, who's a psychiatrist that kind of helps people with like depression and things like that. He'll take emails and, texting and whatnot. We have some oldie stations. And then even at 7 o'clock on each and every night, there's a wide diversity. We have rockabilly like on Mondays. Tuesdays, we have classic country. Wednesdays is actually a show called Dead Air Radio that's all about the Grateful Dead. Thursdays is a gentleman who comes in live for 2 hours, Mr. Jerry Costelli, and does the Analog Future, which is like a synth pop kind of sound. It's really cool. And on Fridays, we have a show that's from Charles Stevens called Friday Funk. So,
Nice.
it's a wide variety throughout the day. And on the weekends, we focus more like on I wouldn't say the oldies, but more your 60s music, including classic country, and some syndicated shows that we get free, through the FM LP network.
And so this is a second career for you doing community radio, right?
Yeah. What happened was I had a long-term career with AT&T, with the phone company, and I had a career-ending injury, and it was like, well, I'm still kind of young. What do I want to do? And growing up, I've always wanted to be on the radio. It was just a thing from back in the day with Johnny B, Steve Dow, the great Kevin Matthews, the whole list of characters from back in the day. And I told my wife about it. I almost felt embarrassed telling her I wanted to be a broadcaster. And she's like, yeah. And then some of the local radio stations here were more than willing to take me on as like an apprentice type program. Well, then WRWO was being created. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just get on the ground floor and see what happens? And now I'm reading the FM transmitter and doing the reports for the FCC and programming shows. So it's going really good. And maybe down the road, maybe it's still always helping WRWO, but maybe even getting into commercial radio somewhere in the future would be great.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you're so excited about radio, and it's a great, a great medium to just get in touch with people and tell stories and to connect. And I think it's awesome to see how a community, a smaller community especially, reacts to a radio station. And it's great when you do have a smaller area, you can really feel the effects of a radio station like WRWO. And I want to say that WRWO.org is the website. And check it out. If you're going through Ottawa, Illinois, or if you're going to Starved Rock, you can hit up 94.5 on your FM dial for WRWO FM. Tony Bianchi is the program director at that radio station. Tony, best of luck with everything, man. Keep doing what you're doing. It's so great that you're excited, and I know that you got a lot of people fired up about what you're doing over in Ottawa. So thanks so much for talking to us today.
Mike, thank you very much. You have a great day, and all the success to WGN. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is Outside the Loop. I am Mike Stevens. Stay right there. You're listening to 720 WGN.